Joining me now from Malibu, California, forensic psychiatrist and Daily Ledger contributor, Dr. Carole Lieberman, M.D. Doctor, 1 year ago, the American Psychological Association, you may have read it, but I'll remind you about it. The American Psychological Association came out with an article about the risk of social isolation. This is what it says in part. There is robust evidence that social isolation and loneliness significantly increase the risk for premature mortality. In this case, as the president says, and I have been saying on this program now for what, 3 weeks, till I'm blue in the face. I think I'm pretty blue right now. The cure, so-called, in places like California where you live, seems to be worse than the virus itself.
Absolutely. It has been known way before coronavirus that isolation, loneliness has its own lethality rate, which is actually higher in some studies, and from what we know so far, than the risk of death from coronavirus. When people are isolated, it affects their physical body, and it affects them psychologically with anxiety, depression, PTSD, and thoughts of suicide.
And so now we have this new syndrome out there called Covicide, which is obviously suicide, plus the coronavirus, police, and house arrest. This is real, Carole. This is not some fantasy. These are numbers that are starting to emerge, right?
Absolutely. I coined that term because I saw it coming. As you know, I've been talking about how we are scaring ourselves to death in so many different ways. You know, if you listen to a lot of the news reports, we're all going to die. And so when someone who is isolated, even if they're with their family, but if someone is still isolated from society, if someone who is isolated keeps hearing over and over and over again throughout the day, you're going to die, we're all going to die, a lot of us are going to die, many people think to themselves, I would rather take control of my own death and not just, be out there or take a chance on getting coronavirus, having it happen to me, not even necessarily being out there, but just getting it. And so suicide seems like an attractive proposition.
Yep. And so this is why I say, and I said it before, I'll say it again, is why personally I would rather die from coronavirus a free person than live as a slave and in fear to government, which is, see, this was my gut when all these mandates started to cascade down, Carole. I said, or Dr. Lieberman, excuse me, I said to myself, this is going to be a study in time. I think that psychiatrists, psychologists, doctors are going to be studying what the United States did in 2020 in reaction to the Wuhan corona outbreak for many, many years to come. And so when you see Californians, for example, out there trying to get on with life, trying to take advantage of walks on the beach because they can't work, trying to go to parks, and then you have the governor of California saying, you know what, you can't do that. You can't enjoy your life. We're going to shut down the parks. We're going to shut down the beaches. We're going to shut down the parking lots. So you can't go even close to this. This goes against human nature, number one, and it goes against who we are as Americans, number two.
Yes, one of the things that why isolation and loneliness kills us and causes people to think of committing suicide is because as humans, that is part of what we need, is to be together. And also, another thing is that a lot that's contributing to the increase in suicide is that we've heard reports, seen reports about people dying, people in a hospital when they die from coronavirus. It is a very lonely death. Because they're in quarantine, they're not able to see their relatives, their loved ones. And so it's a very lonely death. And that people, are so scared of not only dying, but dying in that way, that's another reason why they want to take their own life. They think about taking their own life. People have to be very aware, in case you are living with somebody or talking to someone on the phone or emailing them, if they start talking about, this is so bad, I would rather be dead, or words to that effect, and if they have high risk factors, and of course, one of the number one high risk factors for suicide is isolation.
Right. You know what I'm going to do this weekend, Carole? I'm going to go give my surrogate dad, who's in his 80s, a big hug. That is, if he will let me. If he will let me. Dr. Lieberman, thank you.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One American News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.